Welcome to our meditation time. Welcome to this beautiful moment, just to pause under the light of the full moon. And so I would encourage you to get comfortable, to soften your gaze or close your eyes. And just as you begin to settle into some really nurturing and nourishing breath at a pace that feels right, before we really settle into our time together, I encourage you individually, each of us on our own, just imagine above your head, above the roof of your house, this big, giant, bright moon in the night sky. It's the first full moon of the new year. It is truly a chance for us to be reminded of the light, even in the cold, dark winter days. So just pause here and just imagine it. It's kind of bathing the whole space where you are with light. Bathing your heart, your spirit with light. And then together we'll settle in. So let's take a slow, deep breath in. And a big, full breath out. And a slow breath in. And a full breath out. One more like that, breathing in and breathing out. And then returning to a rhythm that feels right for you. And as we continue along this journey through the Yoga Sutras, today we start with this section that is often called the looking under the hood part of the sutras. Really beginning to study our thoughts. Really beginning to first understand how we think, what kinds of thoughts come at different times, and then ideally from that, begin to live in this way that we recognize when these thoughts come up. And so Yoga Sutra 1.5, it says to us that all of our thoughts, if we'll just stop and think about them, in that interesting think about them for just a second, they really can be divided into two categories. The thoughts that are painful and the thoughts that are painless. And you could ask any person on this planet which kind of thoughts they want, and we're all going to say we want the thoughts that are painless. None of us intentionally set out to seek things that cause us pain. But as I've studied this sutra for a long time, what I've figured out is a lot of our thoughts truly are us causing ourselves pain. And so we're going to kind of dive into what that means as we think about these two categories. And again, how do we understand them? How do we kind of separate our thoughts into those groups? And then how do we recognize when they come? And I think it is so appropriate that there's this beautiful full moon above us, just shining this light. As I said, almost bathing that place where you are each seated with light, which will help us to look internally. And so just imagine when you see something that's not right with your car, or you see smoke coming out, or you see the gauges that don't look like they're supposed to look on your panel, you don't have to have knowledge about a car to know that something's just not right. But if you were to lift the hood and try to solve that without the knowledge of the car's inner working system, you might find a short-term fix, but you wouldn't actually solve whatever the problem is. But think about it, we each know enough to know that something's not right when the smoke comes out from the hood or the gauges turn to a place that doesn't seem like it should be there. And so we know enough to know something's not right. So we consult the experts. We take our car in because we would never keep driving it if we knew that there was harm or if there was something that was not going to work, if we were going to be in danger and not be safe. And so oftentimes these few sutras, these just few for these next in a row, they're often called the looking under the hood of the car sutras. Because we don't set out to do things that are dangerous for ourselves or that cause harm. But we can't just put Band-Aids on problems. We can't just try to solve things temporarily. This sutra actually asks us to really just sit with our thoughts, even the ones that make us uncomfortable, the ones that make our heart feel a little tight, that make our breath feel a little labored, that make our jaw tense up. Because the sutra says you've got to get to the root of what is causing you pain. And then you'll begin to recognize these things later on, and you'll work from a place of painless thoughts. We know that sutra, that yoga, citta, vritti, nirodha. Yoga calms the fluctuations of our mind. But we've got to know what those fluctuations are. And so today we're going to just really sit with our thoughts. We're going to just see what comes up. And then I will encourage us as we leave our practice today that we'll continue to just keep watching. Just keep noticing, catch yourself, see the thoughts that you're having. So this concept of these thoughts that are either painful or painless, it's pretty simple to break them down. The painful ones are always associated with something selfish, something with our ego, something that we think we deserve, something that we don't like about a person, or we don't like how they've behaved or how they've treated us. These are the thoughts that are usually attached to something in our senses that's made us feel a certain way. Maybe it's based on an old habit, an old pattern, a memory. Maybe it's based on a physical sensation, but they're all associated with these things that are connected to selfishness. We want something. We think we should have it. We are angry that we don't have it. Even down to not catching the green light in traffic. And so some of these things seem so small. But what we do as humanity is we get into this pattern of painful thoughts. And then we wonder why we can't find peace. And so then what's the other category? These painless thoughts. Those are the thoughts that are connected to selflessness. They're not about our ego. They're not about what we want or what we think we deserve or how we think someone should treat us or what we think someone should do. They are truly the thoughts that cultivate peace. When you walk outside and you look up in the trees and you see the wind blow the leaves, or you watch the birds land and sing, I would bet that in those moments, all you're doing is looking with marvel on the beauty of nature. Those are the kind of thoughts that bring us peace. We're not talking about how loud the bird song is or how we don't like the wind. We're just gazing up in wonder. And so what we need to do is we need to practice those things more often. Practice those moments of the painless thoughts. So if you go back to this analogy of your car, once you get it fixed and you figure out these things, you're going to do things to keep your car driving safely. You're going to change the oil. You're going to check the fluid levels. You're going to keep gas in it. You're going to check your tires. You're going to do all these things so that when you get in that car to drive, you don't experience pain. So doesn't it seem logical that we would do at least that much with these beautiful minds that we have? When those painful thoughts come, shouldn't we check, to go with that metaphor, shouldn't we check the gauges? And just ask ourselves, why did I go there? Why did I think that? Why did I let that bother me? Why did I create my own fluctuation, my own disturbance? And then this idea of putting gas in the car and changing the oil. That's like what this practice gives us. We continue to fill ourselves up with moments of peace, moments of taking care, of selfless showing up, so that as those painful moments come when we think certain things, they just don't feel right. Chances are right now we may still be kind of conditioned toward them and not even notice that we're doing it. But the more you show up here, not here in this space with us, but just this showing up of stillness and quiet and meditation, the better your chances are when you think the painful thoughts, you'll immediately know something doesn't feel right. Just like if the car makes a sound or the smoke comes out of the hood, you know immediately something's not right. So before we sit and we pause and we just start to notice these thoughts, I want to give us just one more example, one more way of trying to make this concrete and realistic and how we can actually go out and live it. I have a feeling that we all have a friend or a family member who speaks in a way that we actually hear in their words that they're creating pain for themselves. We all know someone who is just negative all the time. We all know someone who just complains, even when there doesn't seem to be anything to complain about. We all know someone who just can't seem to find the good. Their thoughts are painful. But what we hear when we are with those types of people is it's almost like they're so conditioned they don't even realize what they're doing. And so this practice will help us to move from that kind of conditioning to experience the peace, the calm, the ease of this type of thinking, of this way of being. And then we'll just keep moving further and further away from that other way of thinking. And we'll start to really experience this concept of yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. We will continuously and constantly and consistently calm the fluctuations of our own thoughts. The painful thing will come in, the selfish thought, the frustration, the annoyance, and we'll immediately feel it. Take a deep breath in and just let it go. And you know, if you let go of something enough times, it stops trying to hang on. And the same is true for our thoughts. So let's make these next couple of minutes of quiet, and then let's make the days to come from here on out just days of awareness. We're not here trying to solve anything. We're not trying to fix something. We're just like this big moon is illuminating in the sky. We're just trying to shine a light and recognize what's going on under our hood. What kind of thoughts are we often thinking? So continue to breathe and just notice. And as you continue to breathe, maybe you notice that there weren't so many thoughts, that you truly experienced moments of peace and ease and calm. And if that was the case for you, cultivate that. And you'll notice tomorrow and in the days to come when something doesn't quite align with that. And if for others you notice that the thoughts just never seem to stop, it's like a highway in your mind. And they zip one direction and they zip the other. Don't judge that. Don't get frustrated by it. Just in the days to come, just watch them. Just watch them. And begin to understand the conditioning that you've settled into. And then we'll work in the coming days to give us something different. And so as we prepare to close, I want to just give you a full disclosure example as we head into our day tomorrow. Just a few hours ago, just today, on the highway, my car was quiet. I had no music playing. I'm heading back after picking up some dinner for us, and there's not even a lot of traffic on the road, and I'm just minding my own business. My thoughts are calm. There's no painful fluctuations. I'm just present. And I'm entering onto the highway, into the entry ramp, and a motorcycle's right behind me, and he's obviously in a hurry. And so before we even get to the line that you're allowed to scooch over, he whips around me, guns his motor, and passes along his way. And if I was in a place where I could just continue to cultivate the peace, the painless thoughts, I would have stayed present, I would have stayed quiet, and I would have kept driving. But instead, out loud in my car, with no one to hear but me, I made kind of a snarky comment about what a hurry he must be in. And as soon as I heard myself say those words, I thought, Kelly, you're creating the fluctuation in your mind. You brought the agitation in, not that guy on the motorcycle. And I tell you that to say, first off, it's going to happen to us. It's going to happen. But the more we ground ourselves in this practice, you are going to know. You're going to hear your words. You're going to feel the sentiment in your thoughts, in your heart. And you're going to do something different. I didn't condemn myself. I didn't feel bad. I just thought, Kelly, you did this. Stop. And so I took a breath in. I took my eyes back onto the center of that road, and I drove home in peaceful quiet. And my peace and my ease was restored. So just allow yourself in the coming days to do that. Notice. And then do something to restore your peace. And let's see if we can't shift this conditioning just a bit. So let's close out our practice just with one slow, deep breath in. Again, breathing into the light of that big full moon. And then exhale, let it go. I wish you peace and ease, but most of all, I wish you a day of noticing. Just notice. Namaste.